Today is August 28th, 2018, and tomorrow morning, for many of you, it's the start of the academic year. But for the people in UPOU, or rather the staff, we're still quite hung up on the previous year. Tomorrow morning is the University Council meeting where we will convene and preside, among other things, the candidates for graduation as of the third trimester and second semester of the academic year 2017 to 2018. And I can't really share with you all the details, but what I can tell you is that there are a lot of things that we are trying to fix. And the only consolation that I have is that I am glad that I am no longer in the middle of it. So anyway, we are going to do the very first episode. Well, there is episode 0, but that's more like an introduction of the whole podcast or YouTube channel, however you see it. So what I would have done under normal circumstances for an episode 1 is to talk about the digital collective itself. I will, but not for this one episode. For now, there is actually a much bigger issue at large, which is in the minds of just about everyone in the BAMS community, and that is the curricular revision. Now, much of what you need to know about the new curriculum is already in the FICS website, and you can go there through fics.upou.edu.ph. Please go through it. You won't believe how many students I've encountered who've never even bothered to study the curriculum, and that includes those who are supposedly graduating students. They ought to really, honestly, they ought to be embarrassed about it for themselves. So, if you're actually listening, chances are high that you are a BAMS student who has gone through or at least heard of the original curriculum. 45 units of GE courses, 54 units of core major courses, 18 units of production courses, 15 units of major elective courses, some state-mandated courses, a 3-unit special topics course, and a 6-unit capstone, otherwise known as the special project, all totaling to 144 units. Now, what prompted us to make changes? One thing that I can assure you is that we did not take the whole thing lightly. Of course, there was the shift to the K-12 curriculum to contend with. Suddenly, we had outgoing courses that might overlap with what the higher grade levels were going to cover. The entire GE component of not just BAMS, but all programs in the UP system, and possibly the whole country, had to be overhauled. This was definitely a catalyst for the curricular revision. That said, a revision had been planned long before everything that has happened this year. As early as 2012, we had already noticed a number of fundamental issues in the program. Not all of you may be aware of this, but BAMS was not originally intended to be taken by kids straight from high school. The curriculum, or the teaching method, they were designed primarily for people who were already working. It was a chance for professionals in the field of media to earn a college degree without necessarily having to make the time for traditional classes with structured schedules. They could study part-time, theoretically at their own pace, and in the end, they would be in striking distance to actually earn a college diploma from UP, no less. Now, personally, the premier for such a thing, such as the UP diploma, it's lost on me, but that is a discussion for a different time. Anyway, I started teaching in BAMS back in 2009 and handled the course by myself the following year, MMS 173. I was 32 years old. It was a class of over 40 students, and most of them were either my age or were significantly older than me. There was definitely a distinct vibe about it. But over the years, our students got younger and younger. Whereas teenage high school graduates were an anomaly at the beginning, they were becoming more and more common. And this year, it looks like majority of my students are barely out of their childhood studying full-time. The demographic was definitely shifting, and we had to adjust to that. We had also realized that certain courses had to be tweaked. The field of multimedia was, is, and I think will always be constantly evolving. The content, as well as the structure of the major components or rather major component needed to be able to keep up. For example, when I first taught MMS 173, DSL cameras were only starting to enter the mainstream. It was an interesting time when I always got asked by strangers which magazine I was working for, where whenever I had my Nikon D80 strapped around my neck. I had no idea that mobile devices would emerge as an indispensable support tool and eventually a potential replacement for the venerable DSLR. We had also realized that some courses were more important for multimedia practitioners than others. There were also courses, or rather topics, that needed to be introduced. We also needed to find ways to make the curriculum and student progression more manageable. It really frustrated and annoyed me no end whenever students insist on taking courses on the basis of their own whims rather than the optimum plan as we have prescribed. Siguro naiinis kayo no pagka napadaan kayo sa mga sa kalye or sa Maynila or kung sa any other city, o kaya may mga daan sa probinsya na sobrang sikip, laging traffic, mabaha lagi, sobrang daming tao nagsisiksikan, haba ng pila sa mga sakayan, mga ibang sasakyan na hindi nagbibigayan. Poor planning or poor urban planning, if any at all, is often blamed for that. And guess what? It's pretty much the same for students in BAMS. Now, I'm hoping that the restructuring of the curriculum, along with the system of prerequisites, will help solve that problem. Nobody's going to take any of the production courses on their first effing trimester in the program anymore, that's for sure. So let me go through the actual curriculum briefly. I thought about this. I don't think I need to go through everything in detail, or at least not right now. We do have, again, the BAMS webpage in the FICS website, which, again, I urge you to read its content. And after reading that, and after you listen to me here, if you have lingering comments or suggestions or questions, please let me know by commenting here or letting a member of the Digital Collective know so he or she can forward it to me. What we're going to do is have another episode where I can select, where I and a select group of Digital Collective members can address them. I also have to check if our revision proposal is already considered public domain. If it is, then I suppose it can be made available to you. Otherwise, we'll have to make do with what's already in the website and whatever I cover here. I'm still sure that that's pretty much enough for just about everyone. We introduced a number of changes, but I'll focus on what is relevant to you, the BAM students. First, we had to finally revise the admission qualifications. Certain things about the original wasn't going to fly anymore. We originally required applicants to have 5 years worth of relevant work experience. Nearly all of those who belonged to the pioneer batch did. And that is perhaps one of the reasons why the online class dynamic was so different back then than it is now. Being a graduate of UPOU, mainly those from the Associates in Arts programs also qualified automatically. It was the main entry point for younger students, and by young, I mean those who were during that time in their early to mid-20s. I have mixed feelings towards AA graduates, but that is also another story for another time. The rest of the qualifications are pretty much standard fare. Now, for the new set of qualifications, well, we do have to wait for the Office of the University Registrar to come out with the final official list, it will supersede everything what I have here right now. But essentially, what it proposed is a more systematic set, specifically citing Philippine laws and becoming more compliant with what the rest of the UP system has. It also made the entry of fresh UPCAT passers official. Takers can now specifically name BAMS as their chosen program when they apply for the exam. As for the general structure, you will see that the program has a net difference of -2 units. But we didn't simply take out a 3 unit course to give way for a 1 unit course. As you can see, in place of the old GE courses are two sets, the new GE courses as well as what we are calling common courses. Common as in all UPOU undergraduate programs, BAMS, the Associate in Arts, and Bachelor of Educational Studies have them. This is particularly important because it allows for a more seamless shift or transfer from one program to another. So no more issues regarding which AA courses will not be credited when shifting to BAMS. We also added an undergraduate seminar course as a means to help out students in doing as well as presenting research. This is meant to be taken by students who are close to graduating. If you check the website, you will see 3 plans of study. The 4-year plan is the closest thing that we have for an officially approved plan of study. But we also have a sample plan for part-timers and AA graduates. Of course, your own plan can end up looking very different, but for God's sake, make an actual plan if you still don't have one. We are slowly trying to implement an advising protocol to help you do this. I'm guessing the BAMS program chair will let you know about this at some point, hopefully sooner than later. So we wanted to remove our old crop of major elective courses. The Faculty of Education stopped offering at least one of them, and seriously, who wants to take something like Math 11 as an elective, right? So what we have done is make the list of elective courses a bit more open. We don't have a definitive list at the moment, but expect us to rectify that problem really soon. For now, we have reclassified 3 of the 140 series of courses as electives. So these, along with MMS 151 and the upcoming MMS 149, can already fill your 15-unit requirement. More courses will be identified along the way, so that should give you a fairly diverse set of options. In place of the 3140 series of courses are now new core courses. We've got UI UX, Aesthetics in Multimedia, and New Media Art. UI UX is of course an important and a recently emerging field that will greatly affect how we design systems and the content they handle. Aesthetics in Multimedia will lay the foundations for all our production courses. Hopefully, that will lessen the incidence of students virtually running around the production course sites like headless chickens. It would be funny if it weren't so annoying, students being unprepared for the production course but going ahead to enroll in them anyway just because they like the topics. New Media Art is our attempt at providing a counterpart for MMS 197 on the creative side. It ought to help students preferring to do creative projects rather than do thesis work. Software engineering can also be considered as a counterpart of sorts for the benefit of those who are more interested in systems development, but it is an elective course. Finally, there is the undergraduate seminar course, which I have already mentioned earlier. The following are the list of courses whose prerequisites have changed. It's actually not that drastic. The intention was to implement more sensible prerequisites for these courses. We also hope that this can help streamline the progression of students through the curriculum. So there's the new curriculum for you in a nutshell. I do have to point out that what I have discussed here matters most to the people who will be shifting from the old to the revised curriculum. For the others, it's pretty much just a matter of information. Still, I'm sure many of you will have questions, or maybe you have comments you would like to share. I didn't cover everything here after all. I hope you can go ahead and ask, whether in the comments section here or through the members of the digital collective. You can even send them directly to me at alfrancis.librero@upou.edu.ph. So thank you for listening, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.